Hey guys, Miss Ross here, and this is our science video for the week. We are going to be learning about the water cycle. So, I love learning about the water cycle. A lot of the reason I love it is because you can see it everywhere you go if you just think about it. And if you know what it is, then you'll see it everywhere you go. So, we are going to start with a little bit of a song that I love about the water cycle. But before we do that, I'm just going to explain some of the vocabulary you might hear in the video. So, the first thing that you need to remember about the water cycle is you have to have the sun. If you don't have the sun, the water cycle cannot take place, because the sun is what heats up the water and causes the water cycle to happen. So you start with water. It can be water in the sea. It can be water in a lake. It could be water in a cup. It can still go through the water cycle. And when that water gets really hot, it starts to evaporate. So you're gonna hear that word, evaporation. Evaporation is when the water is evaporating into the air. That's why the lakes get lower and lower and lower in the summer, because all that water heats up and evaporates. You're going to hear that word, evaporation, in this video. The next word you're going to hear a lot in the video is condensation. So that water that evaporates, it doesn't just stay in the air. It goes all the way up, and it has to stop somewhere. Now, if it's outside, it's going to be forming clouds. So those clouds are made up of millions of little tiny drops of water. That's called condensation. Now, the water is evaporating, it's really hot, and then it gets into the clouds, and it gets more in the clouds, and more and more and more and more and more. And then that cloud gets heavy. It's really heavy, and it can't hold any more of those little drops of water. And so what do you think happens? We call it precipitation. So precipitation happens when those drops get really big and they can't be held up in that cloud anymore, and they have to fall down. Now, if it's cold enough, they might fall down as snow or ice. If it's in the summer or in Texas, most of the time it's rain, right? Or sometimes even hail. So that's called precipitation. So I want you to remember those three words. Let's see. Evaporation is when it gets hot and it rises those little droplets of water. Condensation gets in the clouds. And then precipitation when it comes back down. So remember those words as you watch this video. And if you see my little square in the corner, I have little motions for this song that we usually do in class if you want to learn them. So here we go. Takes the water and moves it up. Let's go to the beginning, sorry. Here we go. The water cycle takes the water and moves it up and down and all around the earth. The water cycle takes the water and moves it up and down and all around the earth. The water cycle takes the water and moves it up and down and all around the earth. The water cycle takes the water and moves it up and down and all around the earth. Evaporation comes when the heat from the sun warms up all the groundwater, then it turns to water vapor. Condensation takes over, it goes up to the clouds. Water vapor cools down and it changes to a liquid. Precipitation happens when the drops get big. It falls like rain, snow, sleet, and hail upon my head. I know it's the water cycle happening.
all around the earth. The water cycle takes the water and moves it up and down and all around the earth. Evaporation comes when the heat from the sun warms up all the groundwater, then it turns to water vapor. Condensation takes over, it goes up to the clouds. Water vapor cools down and it changes to a liquid. Precipitation happens when the drops get big. It falls like rain, snow, sleet, and hail upon my head. I know it's the water cycle happening again. Evaporation, condensation, precipitation. The water cycle takes the water and moves it up and down and all around the earth. The water cycle takes the water and moves it up and down and all around the earth. Evaporation comes when the heat from the sun warms up all the groundwater, then it turns to water vapor. Condensation takes over, it goes up to the clouds. Water vapor cools down and it changes to a liquid now. Precipitation happens when the drops get big. It falls like rain, snow, sleet, and hail upon my head. I know it's the water cycle happening again. Evaporation, condensation, precipitation. The water cycle takes the water and moves it up and down and all around the earth. The water cycle takes the water and moves it up and down and all around the earth. The water cycle takes the water and moves it up and down and all around the earth. The water cycle takes the water and moves it up and down and all around the earth.
All right. Wasn't that fun? I'm going to send that video to and a link to all of your family so you can watch it and practice those motions. All right, so our project for this week is to watch the water cycle happen. Now, there are multiple ways to do this. So parents, listen up, because there's 3 different options of how to do this project depending on what you have at home. Now, the first option is what you see in the, let me put this behind it so you can see it. In the video, in the packet, you see this version, okay? So you have all of the pieces. Let me get another piece of paper really quick. All right, here we go. Okay, so you have the water. So there's different kinds. We have the sea, we have groundwater or lake. Those are just different options for where the water cycle is taking place. Then we have evaporation. We know that happens because of the sun. Condensation, it comes into the clouds. The drops get too big. Precipitation goes back into the lake, the groundwater, the sea, and goes around in a circle. If you have Sharpies at home, you can create this baggie and then fill it halfway with water. You can use warm water if you want it to happen fast, or you can tape it to a window and the sun will warm it up and you can see it happen. That will take a little bit longer unless it's a really sunny day. So that's one way. Now, if you don't have Sharpies, I know we didn't provide you Sharpies, another option is to make it on a piece of paper. I cut this paper the size of a baggie so that I can put this behind the bag and it'll still show me what's happening. So you can still fill your bag with water, put this behind it, tape it to your window, and see the water cycle happen. Now, maybe you don't have tape, maybe you don't have baggies. Something we have a lot of is Tupperware. So if you want to, you can make one of these that is about the same height as your Tupperware. You can set it in a window and you can watch it. Now, I actually put warm water in this container so I could kind of show you what it looks like. So hopefully you can kind of see. So you see where it's foggy, that's the condensation, all right? And then there's more on top too. It's foggy, that's the condensation. And then if you look at the little drops of water, I don't know if it's too glary for you to see. The little drops of water, oh, here's a good spot. Little drops of water on there, that's the precipitation, and they'll eventually drop all the way to the bottom. Now, you can use food coloring if you want to see it a little bit better, but they'll be able to see it on the bag or in the Tupperware, even if you don't have food coloring. So that's another option that you can do is Tupperware and your little diagram. So what I want you to do is make it, take a picture of it, and then once it's done something like this, you can see the condensation here. Take a picture of it so you can show me the different parts of the water cycle that you got to experience so that I can see it. So as long as you have something made and you can show me some part of the water cycle that you got to see, there you go. That's all I need. I would also love extra, if they learn the motions to the song, you can send me a video of them doing those motions. I'm so sad we can't do it in class. It's one of my favorite little songs. So, but I will take a picture of all of these options and send them out so that you have the examples. So I hope this makes it a little easier on you guys. I realize not everyone has access to Sharpies or even tape, so I tried to come up with some different options to what you could do. So there you go. All right, that is science for this week. I cannot wait to see your water cycle projects and maybe even a few water cycle dances. You guys have a great week.